Hey everybody. Hope everyone's doing all right. Um, so I wanted to follow up a little bit about some of the things I said after raid tonight. Um, and just kind of break some things down for y'all. This is part of an ongoing thing that us in leadership have been talking about and having conversations about, and I think um honesty is just genuinely the best policy, and being more open with y'all about what needs or what would need to change for us to do certain things within the guild. Guild's been around since October now. Um, Me and Manu and Paka have been leading it since beginning of January, late December, and we've had a lot of growing pains. We've had a lot of things going on, and you know we've been through some rough times, but we've been making it. But our guild has a lot more growing to do, and this is part of that. And part of that is also learning the tough reality of certain things. So that being said, I have prepared a bit of a PowerPoint for everybody, breaking down what hard modes will require of us. Like I said tonight, I've seen quite a few of y'all. I would honestly wager about at least half of the guild mention interest in hard modes. I myself have a desire to do 25-man hard modes specifically. Um, but as I said tonight, we are not in a position right now to be doing 25-man hard modes, especially in one night when we can't even guarantee a clear. So that being said, my first slide here is the basics. This entails to not dying to simple mechanics on normal mode. A great example is on Memoron, when he throws out the mines and melee is stacked up on him. When you need to run out of the way, you need to make sure you can't get yourself killed by a mine. Like simple things like that. I am guilty of that. I have been killed by the mine on Memoron multiple times. This would also mean that everybody needs to come to raid properly prepared. This means having all of your enchants on, having all of your consumables ready, being fully repaired. People me leaving mid raid to down raid to go repair or go get an enchant or go get something like that, that would not be acceptable if we pushed hard modes. Um, Everybody would need to be fully prepared. Um, know your mechanics. Do your research on your boss fights. Know how the bosses react, what they do, even if it's as simple as something that the tank has to deal with. Knowing your fight in and out would help you be more successful, not only in normal mode, but in hard mode. Um, Also, situational awareness. Know your surroundings. I saw quite a few people tonight during Yogg-Saron getting hit by clouds. Paying attention to not only the boss but to the surroundings is a huge part of success. Not only in WoW boss fights, but in just any boss fight in any game. Um, and this is probably the most simple one at all. Oh, sorry, went ahead of myself. Oh, sorry, I went ahead of myself. This is probably the most simple point of all, but it needs to be said. We would need to be able to full clear a normal mode raid, like in and out, like through and through. Um, if we can't even get that basic thing down, we have no business trying hard modes. That being said, if we were to do hard modes, if this was something the guild was to pursue, this would not be a casual thing. What we mean by that is it wouldn't be as simple of we all raid log every week to do the hard mode raids. This would mean everybody would need to have more dedication. Um, we would need better group cohesion. We would all need to know each other better, how know each other's classes work better. We would all need to be able to communicate better. That means like when battle reses are called, we would need people being able to communicate with each other about who's going to battle res who and whatnot. Simple things like that. Soul stones. I am guilty of this as well. Making sure everybody knows who they're soul stoning during a fight. This would also mean that you would need to be willing to wipe multiple times for up to an hour on certain bosses just to learn the mechanics. Trial and error, learning from your mistakes. Be willing to learn and be prepared when it comes to the mechanics. You would need to be willing to take constructive criticism. Like it says on here, we wouldn't be an asshole to you. We're not going to be mean. We're not going to berate you, but when you screw up, it would need to be addressed. It's as simple as that. This also means, realistically, if we were to pursue hard mode seriously, this would mean 2 nights of raiding for a full clear just of 25 man. This would mean that we would split the night up, probably 4 hours each night. Maybe that may not be the case every time, but especially if we're trying to learn hard modes, for the first couple of weeks, we would have to have 2 nights of 4-hour raiding to learn all the various hard modes. This also would mean you would need to start attending. For those of us who haven't, I have had terrible attendance with 10-mans. I'm trying to remedy that. This would mean attending 10-man raids for the hard mode gear in those raids. We've had a lot of success in 10-man hard modes, and we're not going to see that going anytime soon. But that 10-man hard node gear will be needed for 25-man hard nodes. It is better than 25-man normal gear. So, going on, we would also need to keep some things serious. This would mean no unnecessary side conversations. I'm personally guilty of this. You know me. I like to bring up, is Gandalf a ninja looter? Shit like that. I like to bring up fun conversation topics. I did that a lot during Nax. So that would need to stop. Death rolling would be completely out of the question. Like, from beginning to raid to the end of raid and in between, death rolling is an absolute no-go. This would also mean everybody would need to be ready to raid 15 minutes prior to pull time. So you would need to be logged in, ready, and chilling at Ulduar, ready to go 15 minutes prior to the first pull. Now, we do understand that some people can't always make it that, but if that couldn't happen, you would need to communicate with us and be like, hey, I'm going to be there at 6:31, so that we know you are coming and you are here and you are serious about this. People would need to be held more accountable for the performance. Some things as simple as pre-potting before a boss, or having the proper enchants or the proper gemming and proper DPS, stuff like that would have to be put more into account. Attendance would matter. We've had a lot of people have a lot of issues with signing up. This would mean as soon as signups go up, even if you don't know if you're going to be there, marking yourself as absent would be incredibly important. And that also would mean that as we continue to grow, some people would need to be benched for comp reasons. Composition of our raid would matter far more. That means if you also had an alt that could better fit our comp, you may be asked to switch to that if you are willing to. If you weren't willing to, that could mean you were benched. This also gets us to that add-ons would be a must. If you haven't been operating with a lot of add-ons, or you don't have add-ons at all, you would need to download them. Add-ons are very essential to a lot of classes. Some classes have very specific add-ons that attribute to success during raid, and you would need to adapt to that. Also, this hasn't been necessarily an issue, but this is something that is still serious, but Discord communication would be a must. If you're typically someone who doesn't like to talk in Discord, but for example, you're a druid and you have a battle res, you would have to be able to communicate that you were giving a battle res out during the raid. Now, the biggest question of all is, do you want this enough? Like I've said, I've seen a lot of people talk about how they really want to do 25-man hard modes. We've had people ask us on 25-man nights constantly, which hard modes are we doing? We should do hard mode. Are we going to do hard mode? I'll be honest with you. When we were going to do 2 nights, that decision was made because of the hard mode demand. We made that decision because at the end of the day, where we are at, doing 1 night of raiding and trying to attempt hard modes is not feasible. Most casual guilds who are just doing normal clears with a few hard modes on the side are doing 2 nights of raiding. And that is what would be required. We also realize that's a lot for people. And this would also mean that in order for us to make this change and in order for us to grow, we would have to adapt to some things. Some people may not be able to stick around. And that sucks and that's hard, but that's just the truth of it. At the end of the day, if we as a guild and if the majority of the guild truly wants 25-man hard modes, you're going to have to want it through and through. You're going to have to want it. You're going to want to need it. And you're going to have to change. Some of y'all will have to change for this to happen. This also means that 3 nights of raiding would be what would be needed. That would mean a night of 10-man and 2 nights of 25 at minimum. We wouldn't be asking for 4 nights because we realize that's even more a lot. Some 10-man teams may decide to do a second night on their own time. That's okay. But all in all, I felt like I needed to break it down to you all that these are the changes that would have to happen for us to do hard mode. Now, as I have said, going into next week, we are not doing hard mode. Not at all. So I'm going to ask that you don't bring it up, that you don't ask about it, that you don't even say anything about hard mode. Because it's not happening. Unless we decide last minute or in the lead up to the week that, you know what, we may try something. That will be up to leadership discretion. Same thing goes for 10-mans, like we've said in the post as of now. Hard modes for 10-mans is up to the raid leader's discretion. They will decide what is going to be done. So, you know, if you really want to do Mimir hard mode on your 10-man, we get it. We understand. Most of us want to as well. That will be the raid leader's decision. Please don't harass him about it. If he says no, he means no. So yeah, I just wanted to put these thoughts into everyone's mind. I don't mean to come across as an asshole. I'm just trying to be upfront, honest, and just telling you the truth. If you have questions or concerns, please come to me. I really, really appreciate anyone's feedback and questions. This can be an ongoing dialogue outside of raid. If you have questions or concerns, please feel free to voice them. And of course, we will keep you updated about how we're feeling with things in the guild and how we feel like we need to go as a guild and what direction that will be. I also just want to end on this last fact. Wrath is not going to get easier after this. We're going to have Trial, which is going to be kind of interesting because it's not going to be as like balls to the wall as Ulduar. But when ICC comes out, there's going to be aspects about ICC that are far more difficult than Ulduar. Yeah, we won't have hard modes during, like, you know, like traditionally with Ulduar, but if we're going to want to push Heroic and ICC when that comes out, in order for us to potentially do something like that, we're going to have to start making changes now to better set ourselves up for the future. So just think about that. Keep that in mind. I also just want to quickly end and just say thank you, everybody, to your time and dedication to the guild and everything you've put in. It's been most appreciated. Like I said, if you need anything, feel free to hit me up. Pars out.